What is up, guys? Fado82 coming at you with a base build video, and we're going to be taking a look at building on lighthouses today. This is something that I haven't seen a lot of before, and I had the idea in my head, and I brought it up to RiOT, who's a bit of a mad scientist when it comes to base designs. He logged on a creative server, went a little bit nutty with it, and came up with a really cool base design here. So what you're looking at is a base that's built on top of a lighthouse. It's a great type of a base design for a solo player or a small group. And it doesn't require a lot of resources. This one has been reinforced to the highest armor tier, but you could do it with stone, you could do it with wood, and it's really quite a interesting base design and quite difficult to get to. You don't have to build it up so many levels. You could actually do it with 1 or 2 levels, and it would still be quite a feat to raid. So we're going to go ahead and show you some of the tips and tricks to this. We're going to first do a time lapse, which is going to show you how the base was built. Go ahead and pay attention how RiOT's placing the walls, because there are stability issues with building on top of a lighthouse, but there are some advantages to building a base up here. So some people right off the bat, guys, might think this is an exploit or some type of a glitch, but my philosophy on it is this is something that the game mechanics currently allow, and Rust is a very unforgiving game and a very unforgiving experience, so you want to use anything to your advantage to be able to protect your loot and to be able to sleep through the night and stay alive another day in Rust. Alright guys, hope you enjoy this base build video. As always, Fado82, peace. So we're here with RiOT from YPB, the mad scientist of building. He has another masterful base build here, and he's going to go ahead and take us through it. So RiOT, why did you choose to experiment with this? What prompted that?
I wanted to come up with a solution for a solo player, you know, someone that was playing by themselves, and I also wanted to figure out how I could use a lighthouse and make a base on top. Tried to ladder on top of a lighthouse, and you just can't. You can't get on top. So this is what I've come up with.
All right, so take us through a quick tour of it, how you access it, and we'll go ahead and take a look at it.
Sure. I built these barricades around the rock here. It's not terribly necessary, but it's another layer of protection.
Absolutely. Rust is one of those games that's all about using whatever you can, you know, to protect your stuff. Your bases are going to get raided. It's not a question of can it be raided, it will be raided. So even, you know, something like this, you have to anticipate that it's going to be raided at some point. But from watching you do this build here, I'm kind of surprised at the fact that this looks like a base that would be one of the most difficult bases to raid, actually.
I was extremely surprised, and quite happy with the turnout. You know, hope you guys paid attention. If you watched the time lapse of the build, pay attention to the actual. Yeah, we have company.
Yeah, just keep moving.
Oh my god!
Before he shoots us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
yeah,
so
the
there's
layout was in a certain order to you know, to work with the stability problems. It's kind of awkward to see a base on a one. It's only a one foundation base.
It's a one foundation base, and that's something that players are going to have to be aware of. Is that when they're trying to build here, they're going to be fighting against, in some ways, the stability mechanics. Is that accurate?
Right. Absolutely. So just try to, you know, if you just look carefully and see how I placed the order of where I placed the floors and walls and pillars, you know,
right.
should be fine.
Absolutely. Be fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll get up the stairs here. So, you know, most people are going to try to enter a lighthouse through the bottom, and probably a lot of people watching the video are saying, well, you know, it doesn't look that secure at the bottom. They can get in there easily and then get up to your lighthouse. But even once they get up here, the trick here is really where the sort of the beauty of the base design comes into play.
Well, yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, the secondary cupboard is in the lighthouse at the bottom. So if that gets compromised, the main cupboard is in the base on top of the lighthouse and takes precedence over the secondary cupboard, so they still won't be able to build.
Right. So what you're using here is you're using a modified elevator system. You have it built up to wood here to this point. So when you get here, you only have to use a minimum of, what is it? A few hundred.
We'll count it out. Let's just figure it out here.
A few hundred wood, yeah.
Yeah, let's do, there's 50. There's one. There's 150. And I'm going to scoot over here yet. So there's 2. Okay, and then 250. Yeah, so it's 300 wood. 300 wood per trip. Which isn't too bad.
That's not bad at all.
Come on in.
So you got a nice furnace room going down here.
Yep, if you want, you know, you can use like a bow. Take out the last couple blocks and you'll be all set. You can turn on these furnaces. Yeah.
Pretty nice. So you have it pretty wide open in here. You didn't kind of honeycomb it up. I know that if people were building a base up here, they could start doing that if they wanted to be more well protected. But in your opinion, it can stay fairly wide open because you think that just to get to this point would be quite a feat. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think you can tower. I don't think you can build a siege tower and kind of jump up here. You can't ladder up here. So really, if you get actively raided, equip yourself with a hammer and go to your foundation.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Start doing some damage
Spam
control.
Hammering your foundation just to make sure they can't blow it up.
Start doing some damage control.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of really all you're worried about. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, I don't think it's very easy to get inside of the base. You know, I don't think...
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why it's incredibly efficient for a solo player. It's kind of like the only rock, 1 out of 3 rocks on server, if you know what I mean. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure the number of lighthouses that spawn on servers. I think it's, I don't know the exact number. I mean, I know it's more than 3 lighthouses. So I mean, but there's a finite amount of these bases. They're going to be a hot commodity. You know, perhaps after seeing this base build. You know.
I know. I'm regretting it already.
Well, I almost fell off the edge there, but it's... Oh, boy, I did fall off the edge. Well, thankfully, you know, we are on the creative server, and I can actually fly back up there, so... it's not admin abuse, guys. We're showing you how to do a build. So, the big things about this build are really, you know, to kind of sum it up for people, is it's a great build for smaller groups who are trying to survive, maybe a 2-3 man group, or a solo player. You built it kind of big here, and as far as that goes, you know, you could even have done it 2 stories, and it would have been still quite an epic base that would be very hard. A 2-story stone base would have been extremely hard to get to on top of this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would mess with it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, if they compromised the base on the bottom and placed their own door, I guess that would, you know, be a pain. You know, I guess they could brief you by taking your cupboard on the bottom.
Right.
But to actually acquire any loot in here would be tough. It would be really tough to get any kind of positive, you know, back from using rockets. I don't think you'd ever gain anything from attacking here.
No, definitely not. Now, I mean, what's nice about it too is it gives you sort of a 360, you know, radius when you're up here. So it's really a good base for defending. I mean, there's not a lot of blind spots up here. You know, you do have the hills above you, but behind you is the ocean, so you only have to worry about really certain points that they're going to come from.
I often find that being able to rest easy at night is the main goal. That's winning in Rust. If you can get a full night's rest and not have to worry about your base.
If you can go to bed at night and it's there in the morning, that's an achievement in Rust. So some players are going to look at this base, they're going to get a little bit salty, and they're going to say this is exploiting the building mechanics. This is something that shouldn't be. And my mentality on that has always been the same, that it's something we can currently do in the game right now. The developers are certainly aware of it after they see it out there in the community, and if they choose to patch it or mitigate against that in the future, they can certainly go ahead and do it. But right now, this is a tactic that players can use. What's your opinion on that? If somebody says, oh, you're just showing people how to exploit the game?
Well, first of all, knowledge is power. I think it's important to know everything that you're up against. We're all on the same playing field, unless we're using some kind of hack or exploit or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think if everyone can do it, then it's fair game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Everyone can build this, and I don't see any problem with using it if everyone else could do it. Now, if I was the only person on server that could do this, well, then there's a problem with that. But everyone else can do the same thing that we're doing. So
right.
I don't see any problem. We live with the game in the state as is right now.
Exactly.
It's an alpha, and we live in the game as is. Things change every week, and you just try your best to survive.
And that's just it. That's my mentality on it exactly. And this is just like the other monument bases that we've seen. I don't know if we consider the Lighthouse a monument or not. Probably we do. But it's just like building on top of the globe, the Death Star. I mean, it's the same type of issue. Not issue, but same type of dynamic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, granted, I mean, I take heed, and listen to what the admins say. I mean, if an admin, he can run his server any way he likes, and, there are different opinions, and different admins. So you just find a server that allows something like this. The server that I currently play on, and US Rustopia, Ghost and Fuzz and Serial Spiller, they're great.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. They're all about what if you can do it, if you can build it, go right ahead and do it. If you're not fly hacking to get up to a place that you couldn't normally get to, or I mean, there's some servers where the admins will go and remove people's rock bases or water bases.
That's horrible.
I personally consider that to be admin abuse, and I consider those servers to be too oppressive. Who's to say what you can and can't do? And Rust is a game that's so hardcore and so difficult that you've got to use everything to your advantage, and something like this is a beautiful example. So before we end the video, let's just talk once more just about the stability, because players, we're going to do the time lapse and they're going to watch that, but they're going to want to be able to see while they're doing that, what do they need to pay attention to? It's wall placement,
okay, well,
right?
I can show you. I'll go down to the bottom. Then I can just take this down as I'm leaving, if you're noticing. And you're safe. Boom. You can't ladder up here. You can't, And you start placing floors.
Okay. You start off with one foundation, you start placing floors.
Yep, the floors are in the middle first. All the middle floors have to be placed first. Like that. And then you can build the corner blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you place the walls are in the middle first. And then the sides fill in.
Right. And what you're looking at now, guys, if you're watching the video, this is what RiOT was doing on top of the Lighthouse to make sure that he could still build, because there are some issues with stability when you're doing this build.
Before you place the floors on this level, make sure you build a second level higher.
Yeah.
Okay? Build the second level higher. Fill this in. Right. Then you throw in pillars. Build 2 levels high. You always want to be a level above the floor that you're placing. Fill this in right here. And then now you can place your floors. Now you can place your staircase. Now you can place your floors, and you just rinse and repeat.
Okay, because otherwise, if you miss that step of building, the trick is building the level higher, you're going to have stability issues. You're showing off another cool base build. I'm sure people will be asking you in comments more questions, and that's all good. And parting words?
No. I just have to thank you for, doing what you do, dude. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed this base build video. If you have any questions for the mastermind behind it, RiOT, go ahead and leave him a comment. He'll be sure to get back to you. This was built on our dev server. We did spawn in items to build it to demonstrate how it's built. On the dev server, we do play around with building concepts, test out gameplay mechanics, and new updates. That's what the server is there for. So if you guys want to build a base like this, just be aware stability does get a bit wonky when you build on a location like this. So you have to really start from the ground up with that in mind and build it just in the way that RiOT did, or it will start falling apart. It's a tricky build, but it is an effective build, especially for new players who want to protect stuff. If you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know. As always, hope you enjoyed. This is Fado82. Peace.